As an Essex native, I'm almost obliged to like the car that sat to my right. The Blue Oval's Dagenham factory was responsible for some absolutely legendary and beloved models over the years, and this car was one of the all-time greats. Hello and welcome to the Ford Escort XR3. That's right, today I'm lucky enough to have the keys to this, a 1982 Ford Escort XR3. It's in marvellous, highly original condition, and we're going to have a proper look around it inside and out and talk about what makes this car so special. So let's get into it. The Escort name needs little introduction, whether you're into cars or not. The chances are that at some point in your life you will have crossed paths with a Ford Escort. Introduced in the mid-20th century, the Ford Escort was the marque's answer to simple, economical, fun motoring. It first crossed our paths with the 100E of the 1950s, but it was with the classic Mark I Escort where things really got into the swing of things in the 1960s. The Escort was regularly topping the charts as the UK and in fact Europe's best-selling car, and for good reason. It was well styled, it was fun to drive, and it was easy to keep on the road. There's very little not to like with one of these, and that's why in the aftermarket they have an incredible following. Now, the Mark I and II Escorts, as I'm sure you're already aware, have very much made a name for themselves and are demonstrating wonderfully that the blue oval tax is a very real thing. The car behind me is a slightly later car and is in fact a third generation Mark III Escort, but it's this one that I find the most interesting personally. You see, the Mark III Escort really did change the formula. It was a new direction for Ford, and a lot of that came down to the mechanical side of things. Styling, yes, was advanced to keep up with the times. This is quintessential 1980s motoring. But underneath, a front-wheel drive driveline was utilised for the first time, along with Ford's new CVH engine. But more on that later. Now, as you may have been able to tell thanks to a few styling tweaks, this isn't an ordinary Mark III Escort. No, instead, this is an XR3. Now, what does that mean? Well, with this, Ford set their sights on the Germans and the rapidly emerging 1980s hot hatchback market. You see, a few years prior, Volkswagen had introduced the Mark I GTI, and it had been an astounding success, and Ford wanted some of the action. The XR3, therefore, was a new endeavour for Ford. They'd, yes, done a lot of fast models, but not a hot hatchback or a fast hatchback. No one really had, but I think they did the job very well. Styling was tweaked and performance was improved to create a really very well sorted performance hot hatch. Though power was still down from a Mark I GTI, its value for money meant it sold very, very well indeed. And I think, having spent some time with it, I can really see why. Inside the XR3 is classic 1980s performance motoring, pattern fabric upholstery, tri-spoke steering wheel, and an optional extra sunroof. It ticks all the boxes. It's a comfortable place to be, there's a lot of room, whether you're in the front or the rear, and it's just generally well built. There's a nice level of fit and finish, though I would say you do get a few creaks here and there, but that's the thing with this, it was cheaper than the alternatives for that reason. It wasn't quite as high quality as some of the other cars you could get at the time, but it does the job well nonetheless. Now, it was under the bonnet where the XR3 really set itself apart from a standard Escort, and this wonderfully preserved example will work as an excellent demonstrator. The 1.6 litre CVH engine was utilised here with an overhead cam setup. It made about 96 brake horsepower, which was lacking compared to the Mark I GTI it was competing against, but still provided a fun drive, good power delivery, and an excellent little engine note. Now, a lot of you might be wondering why I've been calling this an XR3 rather than an XR3i, as this is more commonly known, and that's because this is a 1982 or before car. For the first couple of years of production, these were just XR3s, and that's because they utilised a twin-choke carburettor. The XR3i's, with the I standing for ejection, you guessed it, utilised fuel injection, but they didn't come until later in the XR3's lifetime. It is a wonderful little engine, it's very cheap to run, they don't tend to go wrong, and parts are still readily available. That is why people love these things. As with any fast Ford of this era or before, they're just very easy to get on with and they do the job they're supposed to do so well. It's good fun, this thing, it really is. We've got it warmed up and out on the road, and the XR3 really doesn't disappoint. Yes, it's got less power than a Mark 1 Golf, but it's just as fun in my opinion. It's light, it's revvy, it's got a wonderful CVH engine in the front. There's very little not to like with one of these when it comes to the drive. It's an incredibly composed car in the twisty bits. In those corners, it feels so precise and tight. And the manual gearbox is actually doing a very good job. The throws are quite long in between the changes, but they're crisp and they feel good. With just 96 horsepower coming from the 1.6 unit, it definitely was lacking in power. But that doesn't really matter too much when you're out on the road, in my opinion. You put your foot down and it does get up and go, and it's very, very fun, as I said earlier. Spend some time with any fast Ford of this era, or even an early era, and you really do quickly learn why they have such a following and are held in such high regard. They are wonderful things. I am thoroughly enjoying my time with this little car, and I'm not even the biggest Ford fan. It's just a very likeable thing. Criticisms, they're few and far between in all honesty. Mainly comes down to the quality inside the cabin, which is really noticeable when you get out on the road. This isn't the smoothest one we're on now, and you do really hear that in the back. Behind me there is a hell of a lot of cabin creak. Everything does feel a little bit tinny, a little bit rattly. I will give that to the Mark 1 Golf. It's a more refined, and sort of there's definitely a better level of fit and finish in one of those compared to this. But if that's all I can complain about, I'm really not too bothered. Very good day at the office, this one. So, the Ford Escort XR3, what do I think? Well, I approve of this car greatly. Yes, it was less powerful than a Mark 1 Golf. It does feel a little bit tinny and a little bit cheap on the inside, but it's such a fun car to drive that you can forgive all of that. The fast Ford is a legend. There's no way around it. And when you spend some time with a car like this, it's very easy to see why. Now, values of these are constantly on an upward trend, as is the case with pretty much any hot hatch of this era. I think now's a very good time to get into an XR3 or an XR3i, as in my opinion, they're only going to go up from here. Thank you very much for watching this video review of our lovely Ford XR3. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you like this sort of thing, please check out our other video reviews. And in the meantime, if you have a classic car to sell, please get in touch with us at classiccarbuyer.co.uk. We'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye.